All right, we're back with Chew Quieter, and Armando is back. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be back in the good old US of A. Had a very interesting trip down to Mexico. Um, Fun resort. It's always perfect down there. Go down to Rocky Point to Las Palomas. There's just a big resort area on Sandy Beach. And you just kind of rent a condo, and there's a pool, there's a beach, there's all kinds of other shit to do there, and you don't really have to leave for much. Just bring all your food and stuff. You have a full kitchen. And that's kind of what you do for the week. Then we usually go out 1 or 2 nights for dinner or lunch, and that stuff. And first night we went out, friends we went with found this restaurant, and the guy's like, "Yeah, come and eat here, and we'll take care of your parking. Just come and eat upstairs." And I didn't hear this. I just parked and put money in the meter because there was a meter there. I'm like, okay, I'm in Mexico. I got to pay the meter. I don't care what time it is, as long as that meter's. So I put enough to get to 2 hours. I'm like, 2 hours would be fine. We go up and they got this restaurant, and it's like this. It was the shittiest restaurant I've ever been into, I believe. And then it's upstairs, but there's no stairs from the inside, so they built this staircase on the outside that goes up to the restaurant. And it's like, this I can't hold all this. There's no way. There's no way. Oh, it's like, whoa. And it's all old rusted metal, and it's just like below you is all rocks because the ocean's right there on the backside. So it's all just a big old freaking giant boulders. And then you're like, if you're falling off that thing, you're done.
Fucking Mexico.
So yeah. And then half the floor where they where they sat us for dinner and put the big tables out for us. There was no tile on the floor. It was just like they chipped up the tile and didn't put anything back down.
God.
Yeah,
so it was like a Tijuana bathroom.
Oh, it was way worse than that.
Mexico.
And then yeah, Viva Mexico. Yeah, so then we eat, and food was not great, not even good. Not even close to bad. It was just terrible.
Wow. How you gonna fuck up rice and beans in Mexico?
I know. How can you be Mexican and fuck up Mexican food? I mean, I can fuck up Chinese food because I'm not Chinese, but come on, you can't be Mexican and fuck up Mexican food. So we go downstairs, and we took two vehicles out there. The other vehicle that they told them that the parking would be taken care of, and they come and ate there. They have a ticket on the windshield, a note on the side window that says you have a boot on, and a big old freaking orange boot on the front of the wheel. So she goes to the guy and like just obliterates this guy, and then there's another guy sitting downstairs who's like part of who told her this, and he's like, I don't know, it's his restaurant, whatever. So he has to go down. He has to walk down to the police station. Luckily, the police station is like 4 doors down. So they go to the police station, and then some guy comes riding on a quad about 10 minutes later, takes the boot off, and you're on your way. And restaurant guy's like, sorry about that, and just like everyone's all pissed off and whatever. And it's just one of those things, just typical Mexico crap that if you didn't know how to handle it, you'd just be screwed.
It's not exactly lost in translation. It's just bad policy.
Yeah, it's just the way they work. Yeah. and the reason they have to do it is they have U.S. plates. What are you gonna do? You're gonna write your ticket? They're never gonna see the payment for it, so they boot it. You're gonna pay if you're booted.
God damn. Fucking Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the kicker was on the way home Friday. We go through town because they want to go, because you could usually get good deals on seafood out there. So we go there. There's a couple of nice seafood markets down there, and some shitty ones. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to this other one in town." And we go to town, and town is just crazy packed. There's people everywhere. It's Arizona. It's fall break for a lot of the year-round schools, so there's like all kinds of kids and stuff on fall break, and families and stuff. So it's just packed out there. So there's no place to park. So I loop around. I'm waiting for everyone to catch up, and I turn down the street and I park. And then the other two vehicles that we're with coming behind me, And I was like, all right, there's a parking over there. It's like $5 each. I don't really want to go down there. I don't really care to be down there at this fish market. There's another fish market I know I want to go to that's down the road that there's parking at, and it's not in the downtown area. As soon as I turn around, the freaking police were right there. You can police see a freaking bright lights on me. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, what? We can't sit here? Like, what's going on? So I go, we're just waiting for our friends. We're leaving right now. He's like, no. You're the wrong way in a one-way street.
Oh shit.
I'm like, what? I'm not driving. He goes, yeah, you turn down the street. We were right there. It's all you. One way and wrong way in a one-way street. I'm like, oh, you're fucking kidding me.
So how much did that cost you?
So $60. But the pain in the ass was there's not just you don't just get $60 there. It's they go through the whole thing, they start riding, they do everything, then you got to follow them. And as they're getting all of our licenses and registrations together, excuse me, some guy in a quad makes the same turn, and the cops grab him and like, no, come on, okay, you're following us too. So 4 of us following this cop car to the police station, which we didn't. We thought there was one right in town. We're gonna have to go to that one right there. No, I think there's a main police station that has the court and the cashier there. It's like 8 miles away, something like that, 6 miles away, something like that. So we're all following. There's red lights, there's people turning, so we're all broken up and whatever. So we finally get there, and everyone finally shows up to go in, and we got to go to the cashier. They're writing tickets. I'm like, okay, how much is it gonna be? I'm like sitting there going, fuck, it's gonna be like super ridiculous. And it's like $60. I'm like $60 each. So they $240 for the 4 vehicles they just pulled in.
It's a good day for them.
Yeah, and the shittiest part of it is that he says, "Oh, on the sign, it says one way," and all of us go to the sign going, "Where do you see this one way at?" And it's on the back side of the stop sign. It says one way, and a little sign about this big. It says one way, but it's on the opposite side of the stop sign, so there's no way you can see it. So I'm asking the cop, like, where's the sign? Where's the sign? He says, it's back there. And I go, come and look. He don't know it's back there. And he wouldn't listen to nothing. I'm like, motherfucker. So yeah, so it was $60 each to get a ticket from nothing for turning down a street the wrong way. So just furthers my my lack of love for Malecon and Rocky Point.
I'm telling you, those brown people can't be trusted.
Nope, never trust a brown person.
Well, that sucks, man.
But the rest of the week was great.
Well, tell me what. First of all, when I heard you had a tea time, I had no idea that you golfed. Is this the first time, or is this something that you just kept from?
No, I've golfed for probably 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. We used to do after work. Buddy of mine got me into it, and we would just go hit a 9-hole in Gardena. It was not too far from or was it Gardena or Hawthorne? One of the two. It was Torrance. Same thing, right there in the South Bay, somewhere in the South Bay. But it was like 8 minutes from work. We'd leave work at 5 o'clock. We'd sit there at the time clock, punch out, jump in the car, head over to the 7-Eleven, get a 12-pack of Natty Light, throw them in the bag, each bag, and then go play until it got too dark for us to play. And it was if you got on after 5 p.m., it was like $5 to play, however long you could play. So it was cheap, and we did it once a week.
What's your handicap?
Golfing is my handicap. Swinging a club, water, anything water. You put me in a hole, there's water around it, I will 100% be in the water.
So Travis and I were talking about this, and he's got a bachelor party coming up, and he's planning on it to be a golf outing and maybe some other stuff going on. So once he found out, he's like, okay, he's got to come to this bachelor party now.
So yeah, no, Travis bachelor party 100% going to be there. I'm not bringing clubs. I'll have to rent.
Why are your clubs are your woods actually wood, or are they that old?
I wish. I would love that. No, actually, I had a really nice set of clubs for the longest time, and then when I didn't play for a while, I got rid of them. And then buddy of mine, one of the buddies that we went to Mexico with, he's like, "Hey, you want to golf?" I'm like, I hadn't golfed in I don't know 5, 6 years, 10 years maybe. And I was like, "Sure." So I called the course. I'm like, "Oh, we don't have any sets that day to rent." So I'm like, "All right, I'm about to just try to find something." So I just looked on Craigslist or Marketplace or wherever the hell I looked, and found a set of clubs for like $40.
That's cheap.
I was like, "This is gonna be good enough." I don't know if I want to play or not anymore. I'm just gonna go try it out. I wasn't
You
spending any
spent more on
money.
golf balls
So we played
probably than
one.
you did the clubs.
Yes, 100% because there's water there. When I played the first day, it was terrible. Um, Pro tip: never buy golf clubs in Arizona that are stored outside.
Oh my god! Don't tell me the grips were rotted.
The grips were rock hard. I just look at the clubs. And I'm like, okay, they're all there. All right, okay, good. Here's $40. Then I started playing with them. Then I realized, like, oh wait, there's no feel to this grip. One of them, I think I swung. Might have been a 6-iron. I swung it and the tape came off and the club went flying and I had the grip in my hand. I'm like, okay, enough of these. So I went and bought another set. I bought a decent set, but I didn't buy anything really fancy or anything. I just bought some Callaway knockoffs, and those have been fine for quite some time. But just traveling with golf clubs sucks.
How's the weather over there?
Beautiful. 80s, mid 80s during the day, mid 60s at night.
It's comfortable.
I mean, enough where you could. I mean, it was just shirt, swim trunks, and shirt or no shirt the whole week. Although the golf course there was,
you had to wear a shirt there.
We get there. Well, then you get there and they're like, "Oh, no t-shirts and no jeans." I'm like,
So it's a legit course.
Have you seen your grass? Have you seen your freaking grass? I'm like, you guys only watered down the freaking green. I'm like, everything else looks like hell. What do you care if I wear freaking a t-shirt? So I brought a collared shirt. I just didn't wear it. I didn't think that I was going to need it there. So I was like, I grabbed the golf cart. I went back to the resort, grabbed my collared shirt, and came back and played. I'm like, so tough.
Well, the weather here has changed. We actually had 80s, and then it just suddenly, it seems like overnight we had 60-degree days and low 40-degree nights. Actually, Saturday night dropped to about 32. So I'm not happy.
Jeez.
I didn't want to go right into frost. I wanted that gradual.
yeah, some fall. Give me some fall.
So I think the first sign that I saw that was happening was when I tried to mow my lawn and it was just, there was nothing being cut. It's dormant. It stopped growing.
Yeah. It's just not growing right now because it's too cold. Ground overnight temperature is too cold.
So, I mean, that's good and all that. I don't have to worry about cutting my grass for, 4 months, but I'm also not happy about just the cold being back.
Yeah, I don't have that problem yet.
Yeah, you're lucky.
It's what is it?
It's one reason why I moved out of Colorado. I was sick and tired of the cold and the snow. Waiting at the train station in 0-degree weather, and the train being late. Just my luck.
And the train just not
outside
there.
on the little platform for 25 minutes, freezing my balls off
for a delayed train. Yeah. So I have the opposite problem with the weather. It's supposed to be getting cooler. It was getting cooler progressively, and then this week it's just jumped up. Yesterday it was like 101. Today it's 96. So it won't break that freaking the 90 mark yet, which I was hoping mid-October we'd be close, but I don't think it's happening.
The upside is we found another New Mexican place, and this place is actually way better than the other place that we thought was really good. This place is like super legit. They had sombreros on the walls as decor. So I was like, okay, I see that. I see the neon Bud Light sign. I see a picture of this old lady washing clothes in a river. This place is going to be good.
A mission in the background.
But and
The church bell in the corner.
Luckily, our waiter actually spoke a little English, so it was kind of funny. He brings out these two cups. One's green chili, one's red chili. Points at the green chili. Okay, this one is not hot. This one is very hot. I'm like, he probably says that just because we're in, in the country.
Yeah, because where you're at.
And, he's trying to warn the white folks that, hey, be careful. This is a little spicy. So I'm like, I'm going to dig into this hot stuff because it's probably not that hot. He was right. It was hot, but it had
it was all just habanero.
I don't know what was in it, but it had a lot of flavor. So I just kept eating it because I don't mind if it's hot and has flavor. If it's hot for no goddamn reason, there's just no point,
Yeah.
So, I actually ordered an extra 2 tacos.
To try to extinguish it?
No, just so I can keep eating it. Yeah.
Just eat more? Just eat more?
Nice. And they were big tacos. They weren't like regular sized street tacos. They were actually the big tortilla corn tortilla ones.
Big ones.
So a lot of meat in it. They had a chorizo queso dip, which was phenomenal. Yeah.
Nice.
So that warmed me up a little bit. My nose was running like crazy.
Felt like summer.
Speaking of hot, so you don't really watch F1 racing at all, do you?
No.
Okay, so this past weekend they had a race in Qatar. The ambient temperature there was in the upper 80s. The track surface temperature was about 103 degrees. They had 74% humidity. So if you combine that with what the cars are they're getting super hot in the cockpit. I mean, it's got to be upwards of 140 degrees probably, especially in a fire suit and with the helmet. So point is, at lap 15, one Esteban Ocon, it was reported that he threw up from the heat in his helmet. The American driver Logan Sargent actually had to quit the race after 44 laps because he was already going through. He already had flu-like symptoms throughout the weekend, and that just drained his body so bad that he felt like he was going to pass out and just crash. So he radioed to his pit crew, "Hey, sorry guys, but I'm feeling really, really bad." They had to help him out of his car. He had no energy, and they put the camera on him when he was coming out of his car, and you could see sweat dripping out of his fire suit. There was another 4 drivers that had to be seen by medical staff because of heat exhaustion. It was just wild, man. Like, I don't know how.
That's crazy.
And that racetrack is one of the most difficult tracks because there's 16 turns, and they're all fast corners. So you're fighting that steering wheel hard, plus the G-forces from those turns. So
and it being completely hot and it's like doing a show at Sheriff's.
Well, the only thing that
95 degrees and 90% humidity.
The only thing that I could have imagined what it was like was a couple years back I was at AOP for one of the Ultra 4 races, and I was filming some stuff there, and actually Diesel was racing in that race. At the end of the race, he couldn't even get his suit off. He was just so exhausted from the heat, pouring water on him and everything else. He could barely stand it. I mean, he could barely stand as it is, but after that race, he was just out. They're helping him up and everything. So that's the only thing that I can kind of, compare it to for everyone here in the States. I mean, it's just brutal.
It is. I mean, like I said, I compare the show at Sheriff's because it's probably one of the only shows where as soon as it's done at 5, I need to go back, take a shower, and sleep. That's all I want to do. And it's that heat and humidity. And it's why we always say it's the dry heat, because the dry heat doesn't do that to you. I mean, if you stay outside and the sun's beating down on you and you're that dumb, then yeah, but there's no escaping the humidity out there. I was under a tent with the fan on and everything, and we even left one year. We left Chambliss's truck on behind the booth, and we all took turns going into the AC to hang out and just kind of relax a little bit to cool off. But that combination of heat and humidity together just kills
A couple
you.
years ago, I did a filming session inside Nissan Stadium for, I think it was Kawasaki Demo Days. They had a little setup inside the stadium before the Monster Truck Rally, so people can go out and test their new vehicle. I think it was Kawasaki. Anyways, I was there filming it, and inside the stadium there's really no breeze at all, and that stadium traps the heat in, and especially on the floor of the stadiums, it's super, super hot. That day, I think it was almost a record 80% humidity and 102 degrees that day. So I'm in one of those stupid neon vests that has no ventilation in it, running around, back and forth, 100 yards back and forth with the camera, trying to get all these different angles. About 2 hours into it, I just started feeling really sick. Like I felt, the heat was just really getting to me. So I told the guys, like, listen, hey, I either need to have someone's lunch and, someone give me an orange or an apple or something and some water, because I'm about to pass the fuck out. So luckily someone just gave me a bottle of water. And
it's brutal.
I think I had a piece of fruit.
Definitely can.
And I felt better, but
it
was still brutal. When it was all done, I was sitting in the car for a good 10 minutes before I was able to feel comfortable enough to drive home.
You keep freezing.
Yeah, you are too.
Mine's good.
It's back now. Stupid technology.
It could be mine. I've been having problems with it. They keep trying to tell me I'm going full fiber, but we'll see.
Speaking of technology, one thing that's been pissing me off lately is every time I go to a website, I'm scrolling, and then there's a delayed pop-up that says, "Would you like to accept our cookies?" It's the most annoying fucking thing.
You think Californians?
I know. Blame them for everything. Did you see they're having $7 gallons of gas right now?
Yeah, I was just there.
Oh, that's right.
I was in California for Off-Road Expo the weekend before. It was. I doesn't bother me because I fill up at the border, drive when I need to drive back, fill up back at the border, and go home. I never pay for gas there. I mean, occasionally I'll put in 2-3 gallons if I miscalculate or if I do some extra driving around that I don't need to do. But usually it's to drive in, do what you need to do, and drive back out, and I have enough gas to get there and back.
I don't know how people there can deal with it. Well, I guess I do know how, because from what I read recently, it's now come to the point where there are, multiple generations of family living under one roof.
Yeah.
And it's easier for them to just, have 10, 11 people squeeze into a 2-bedroom house than it is to have an extra rent somewhere that's, $3,000 for a 1-bedroom, or a $700,000 house in the ghetto.
$700,000 would be cheap. We were in Pomona, so we had this conversation about Pomona the last time we were talking. So we went to the car wash, and with Will and Jenna, and it said something about that neighborhood. It doesn't seem to get any better. Like right there, it just seems to get like worse and worse the whole time. And like, how is this possible? There's like these houses, and I pull up realtor.com, and the cheapest house I could find out there was like
Good
$840,000
grief.
in Pomona, like right by the Fairplex, and you're not in a good
No.
area. I'm just going. There was another one that was like it was. I think it was a quadplex or something, but it was like 2.2 million. Like, who?
That's insane.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, I guess if it comes down to that, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, this article also said
Everyone
this
lives
article
there.
also said that the ratio of homes with garages is dwindling now because people are turning their garages into
Converted into
a living
a
area,
room or something,
and they're doing it without any sort of permits or anything. So a lot of these garages don't have air conditioning or proper air conditioning, or heating, even for that matter.
Yeah, well,
Or plumbing.
That's an easy thing. Yeah, the plumbing would be. I guess you could drill through and find if you have sewage in the back, but that'd be a tough one. If your garage was in the front, it'd probably be a lot easier. You can tap into the sewage in the front if that's how the sewage ran. AC, heating, mini split, 100% mini split. I can make it work.
I just don't. I mean, I'm very glad I don't live out there anymore. I moved out of there in 2000 ish, and haven't looked back.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's just nuts out there to see how much things cost and like where do these people get this money from?
And that's how they have their money, is because they're splitting one mortgage with 6 different adults.
Yeah, yes, and all of them have to work.
Yeah,
you have to work. You have to work full time and a decent paying job at that.
It's not something that I would be comfortable with, but it's not. Yeah. It's not me that's having to do it. It's actually kind of a shame that the amount of 30 and 40-year-olds still living with their parents.
Yeah. What did I just read? In the 70s, average new homeowner was like young 20s, 24, something like that. In the 90s, I believe it was 32. And now they're saying it's like 30, 36 is like your average first time homeowner. So it's just becoming more and more where people are not able to do it. And is that 36-year-old living at home until 36 now and trying to save money so they can buy someplace of their own? Or has that person been renting with roommates and stuff cheap for the last so many years? I don't know. It's a kind of crazy statistic on how things are changing.
Well, I'm 46, and this is my first home that I just bought in March. But I also didn't get married until I was 37. I didn't want to buy a house until I was married because I didn't know what the situation was going to be. I didn't know where I was going to be living. I didn't know where she was going to work. I didn't know where I was going to be working, that sort of thing, you know. So I didn't want to have a house and then all of a sudden I have to sell it and move, which probably wouldn't have been the worst thing, but that was just my thought process at the time. Was I'm not going to buy a house until I'm married, and I didn't really settle down until I was, you know, in my mid 30s, and then my wife and I got married when I was 37. So it put me back a little bit, but I'm here now, and it is what it is.
No, I mean that's fine. It has nothing to. It's just the average. It's just you expect that on the average you have more people that would be younger, getting out of college, buying a house, starting a career, or and maybe a condo, maybe whatever you're buying. But it's a first time buyer is where you're going after, and it's just, geez, excuse me, that housing is becoming so far out of reach, and becoming more of a planning event than it ever
especially with the
was.
interest rates right now, almost 8%.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I can't imagine paying 8%.
I think my first house was seven and a
Wow.
quarter, and that was a good rate because we bought it down. But yeah, it was. I think because ours is like under 3 right now. I'm trying to think of our second house we bought. We put a lot more down on it. I think that one was probably about 6%, 5%. They started tracking down a little bit.
Yeah, we did pretty good on ours.
But
it's just it was still a little high for what I wanted, but I mean, we got it. And that's the only thing that matters.
it's probably lower than it'll ever go again.
I think so. You're probably right.
Yeah. That's where mine's at. Lower than it'll ever go again. So just stays where it's at.
So tell me about not Trail Hero. That was just this week. Off-Road Expo. How'd that go?
Good. It was a different. It's a different trip now for me going to shows. I don't have a booth to manage. I don't have to be at the booth at a certain hour. I don't have to worry about who's in the booth. I don't have to worry about customers walking in and tell me how shitty my products are because they can't put them in right. I can't. I don't hear any. Well, how come you don't do this? How come I get none of that? I walked around and did what I wanted to do. Met with some clients. Met with some prospective clients. Talked to some people that didn't even expect to even want to discuss being clients, and just hung out. Got to my trucks in the rock crawler booth, and Will and Jenna were running the Savvy booth in there. JP and Justin, and they just hired Robert King, those three were working the rock crawler side of the booth, and I just kind of floated. I got to do what I wanted to do, and when I didn't want to be there, I wasn't there. It's beautiful.
So you got to leave early if you wanted to.
I stayed with them the whole day, but I could have went back to the hotel and taken a nap if I wanted to. No one would have cared. No one would say anything. I would have just been gone and napped and be done. I didn't though, but I could have. No, it was good though. It was definitely a different show than it's ever been in the past. The big Building 4 has always been the probably the heavy hitter building, where it's always been full. It's always been the building where everyone is trying to get into and fill that up. And it was about 3/4 full. Yeah, the whole back end of it all just cut off with those partitions. Yeah, it was a little weird. And then my buddy Jaime from Tremor Wheels was out there, and they signed up like a week before the event. He's like, "Oh, we're just gonna go," and they got a 10x20, and they're at the way back, and they put a partition behind him. And he's like, "This looks kind of dumb. Let me just like take the partition down, and I'll just move my stuff around and make it so it looks like it's bigger and open the space up, so you don't have just one partition. It just kind of looks dumb at the end of the thing here." So he goes to the people at the show, and they're like, "Well, let's see how much that's going to cost." He's like, "What do you mean cost? There's no one here. There's no one coming. What are you talking about?" And they are just like, "No, you're not doing it." Like, how dumb. It would make your show look better to give out a little more space and take that partition down and clean up the whole back end of that section. But no, let's see how much money it's going to cost.
They're probably just trying to recover as much money as they can. They probably took a little bit of a loss.
They're probably taking a huge hit, but they brought around contracts for next year, and they're still like way overpriced for what it should be. So I know there's a bunch of people that were just like, I don't be a question if I'm coming back or not if they change the pricing for what you're getting out there. It's not worth it for. I mean, it's SEMA pricing for that show, and on good years, it's worth it. But there hasn't been a good year out there for a few
Since
years
before
ever since
COVID,
COVID. Yeah, yeah. So is it worth it to go? Ryan from Nitto said he got his bill for electricity for them to plug them in from the box that's behind where the booth is at. He's like, they may have run about 20 feet of freaking cable across. They have a plug that goes into their big trailer, truck and trailer. So they have power there, and to have power for the weekend was $2,800.
wow.
Yeah. he's like, dude, it was all of like 5 minutes for them to hook us up. And then whatever power I'm using, he's like, we're not using much power. We have battery and everything else on a lot of stuff. So I don't get what we're paying for. It's not nighttime, so there's no lights running. So there's a couple TVs that run in the fridge. Yeah. But they're going to price themselves out of business.
Yeah. Well, what that means is there's opportunity for new shows and allowing people to see that, these are the mistakes that these people are making. Don't make these mistakes. Once these people move out of that show because it's too high, price your show this much because it's that much cheaper.
Yeah. And I think that's probably a big reason why Trail Hero is getting so much bigger, is that a lot more companies, like BFG wasn't at Off-Road Expo, but they were at Trail Hero, a very large presence at Trail Hero. So it's just, if a company like BFG's looking at the numbers and making the changes, then there's a sign of something there that's a little change coming.
A little more than a little. Probably a lot more.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice here. A lot has to change, so we'll see where that goes in the next year or two with Expo and all that. But oh no, it was a fun weekend. Got to see some good friends, hang out with the crew. Gerald came out. You got to have dinner and hung out with Gerald for a bit. Everyone else was out there, kind of walked around and see everyone. So yeah, it was definitely missing. I think there was no Curry there, no BFG. STHQ wasn't there, which is really weird because they take up like a whole section of that area. And even inside, no Artec was there, but that's their decision to not go there. And a few others just weren't there. There's like names at ADD, but that was the conglomeration probably didn't do that now. But also the change was a lot of the conglomerates now are backing out of individual booths. Now there's one big booth. So S-Pod, Baja Designs, and a couple of their companies just have a booth now that's just one booth for them. Yeah. Fox wasn't there, which is weird. Like in their backyard. Fox, BDS, JKS, and those sport truck brands weren't there, which is really weird because they have a giant booth out there.
And that's kind of their home territory, right?
Yeah, they're kind of spread out now because they used to be in San Diego was like the main, but they're all over now that they bought the BDS, JKS stuff. There's a lot more in Michigan. They have other facilities in the Southeast. So they're kind of spread out, but Scotts Valley and out in San Diego area is where their home is for Fox.
So speaking of change, switching gears here a little bit, McCarthy was voted out as the House Speaker a couple of weeks ago, and now they're trying to find a new one. Biden has a lot of explaining to do, I think, because now that he released those funds to Iran is using those monies to fund Hamas, and just the other day, Israel came under attack. I don't know if you saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pretend to know the politics with in the Gaza Strip and Israel and all that. But what I do know is if you're attacked unprovoked, then there's a problem. And for once, I really, really hope the U.S. doesn't put their nose into this mess, because we are already spread a little thin. And from what I understand, our surplus is low.
Yeah. And the other thing I just read was that there was like reports of the weapons that they're using all were funneled to the Ukraine, stuff that we gave to the Ukraine for their war. So we're channeling this help that we're giving is now becoming a detriment.
Yeah. So we need to stop giving money to Ukraine. We need to stop giving money to other countries, first of all, any country. It's their problem is not our problem.
Until everyone here is happy and living the way they need to be, mental health, drugs, family, kids, everything, old people, veterans, like all these what we call our more need based groups are taken care of, then we shouldn't be putting money into anyone else's pocket.
With all that's happening, I think now is the best time to close the border, because this might just be part one of a planned attack. More than just abroad. Just you just don't know.
Just what it's the mentality of these protests. Just get so many people out there that you outnumber the police, and then once you outnumber the police, then what can they do? Same thing with the government. You outnumber how much money they can put out, and all of a sudden we know they're going to take more money from here and here to give it to this. So you're basically chopping off arms, because the military will go first for where the money's supposed to go, and they'll put it over here. And then now all of a sudden you have a half a military, because they put all the money into programs for illegals.
Well, yeah, I mean, New York is spending, they said $6 billion next year. They're thinking to house illegals.
Yeah. And
that's money that could be going to all sorts of places.
Sanctuary state, right? The homeless problem there is terrible. Rent out there and just living out there is ridiculous cost wise. I mean, that's money that could be way less taxes, way more money in people's pockets, way more that can help their people live better that are already there, and not bring in people that don't need to be there and shouldn't be there.
I think now's the best time for everyone just to arm themselves. If you haven't been to the range in a while, go to the range, get familiar with your weapon again, put some batteries in your optics. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but if Iran is chanting death to America and they're already sending people to attack Israel, who's to say we're not next?
They're already saying that there's... we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Those other brown people could sneak in with the other brown people, and no one really knows. So it's easy for them to sneak operatives in easily through the southern border.
Yeah,
and then we'll transport them, thinking that they're other brown, and just send them to here. Go to Texas. Here, go to New York. Go to Chicago.
Well, it doesn't even have to be brown people. I mean, there are plenty of blacks that are Muslim and that are radical Muslim. So I don't think they're really factoring that into anything.
No, I mean, but I'm saying if you're matching like colors as it come across, I mean, you send in a bunch of black guys with a bunch of brown people, they're going to ask questions. But typically, you're not getting black skin is not coming through the southern border. That's not very typical. You get the brown skin
Right.
that comes through.
But they are coming through the
Is most
southern border,
typical.
though.
Oh, but they're coming through now because
Yeah,
who's
they
going to
got the
stop
word.
us?
Hey, no one's going to stop us. We're going to go.
No one's stopping you. Yeah, we'll fly you into Mexico City, fly you into wherever. We'll get you a car. We'll drop you off wherever the coyote's going to pick you up a couple miles from the border, and you walk across the border, and you're home
And from
free.
what I understand, Mexico is also feeling the effect of this migration pattern because who doesn't get through to the U.S. border, they're staying in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they said Tijuana is way overrun with people that are just homeless, just living everywhere out there. Any of the border cities are probably feeling that.
Well, even Mexico's southern border is probably feeling that too, then, because that's where a lot of the migrants are coming from, is southern or central Mexico, Venezuela.
Yeah. Central America and down from South
Honduras.
America.
All those hard to pronounce places along the equator. Speaking of the equator, there was something I read the other day about a polar shift with the Earth that is probably part of the reason why we might be seeing a climate change. I don't know if you've read this article or heard about this or not. Did you? You're laughing, so I'm guessing no. They call it a polar tilt. I think it's what it was called.
Is it a polar tilt or is it the polar reversal, the polarity reversal?
No, they're calling it a tilt. So
just a tilt. Okay.
So I guess this happens on other planets, and they're theorizing that this is what's happening to Earth right now.
We're just getting a little cocky.
Yeah. Maybe it's just all the people moving to this hemisphere that's making it tilt.
They're just twisting it. Yeah, moving back over there so it stays even. No, I was laughing because Kim brought up something we were going to Mexico, and she brought up something about the polar shift, but she's saying that like everything switches over, so Iceland becomes like it's like the top and the bottom. I'm like, wait a minute, are we upside down? Like, well, how does this work? And she's like trying to explain to me. I'm like, that makes no sense at all to me. I'm just done with this conversation.
I stopped trying to be a scientist a long time ago, so I just regurgitate the shit that I hear.
Well, I'm trying to like figure this out from a third party, and I'm like, is that really what that said? Did you read all that article? No, I just skimmed through the facts.
Well, not only that, but a lot of these articles are also just trying to put scientific terms into layman terms. And when you try to translate something like that, it doesn't always translate. Just like in Dutch, some words don't translate into English, for just as an example. So I think there might be that situation going on too.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of facts are just one-sided too in science. It's one scientist has an opinion, and he goes out and tests it, and then okay, well, this is a theory now, but now it's like becomes, well, this is real. Well, it's real because one guy found it and he was able to prove it, but is it really real? I don't know.
There's a lot of factions within the science community. I mean, you just look at what happened with COVID when those doctors in California that were virologists came out and said, hey, this is basically just the flu. If you treat it like the flu with these certain medications, then you'll be fine. And they even try to say that the horse pill, ivermectin or
ivermectin.
They're trying to push that, and YouTube shut them down.
Yeah.
And if people listened to them, we probably had gotten ahead of COVID way, way, way sooner than we did.
But the point wasn't to get ahead of COVID.
No, it was a political stunt.
It was a money grab.
It was a money grab.
It was a money grab. So Have you ever heard of the show The Medium?
The TV show? Yeah.
It's a TV show
Yeah.
called The
I never
Medium.
watched it though.
Okay. Well, uh, Kim watched it when it was first out. I never watched it. And then last night, she was like digging the channel. She found on Samsung Digital TV, they have a medium station now. And it's all just the medium just rotates over throughout the day, all day, every day. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So she's put on there as I'm getting dinner ready. And one episode is about this FV39. And I'm like, sounds really familiar how this is happening. So it came up with the laboratory, and they claim that a little bit of this disease got free, and they don't believe that they got it. They don't believe that they lost it. They believe someone was stealing it. Well, then go on to find out that the CEO is, I don't know, homosexual with one of the guys that they're claiming stole it. Oh yeah. So, and then he kisses him, and then he takes the serum to alleviate it, and then it goes through, and they talk about how, well, the problem was with that is a certain percentage will have a terrible reaction to the serum and could die. And then if the next scene, he's in the hospital and he could die because he took that, and that's how they knew he did it. He infected himself, he passed it on to the guy, and then ate the serum and then died from it. I'm like, okay, you're patient one with your serum. And the whole thing was they're supposed to make this company rich by the serum. The disease wasn't their moneymaker. It was the antidote. I'm like, this was way too fucking close to home. And this was probably from 2008, maybe 2010. And not even like it's a show that came on this year. No, this was 10 years before, 8 years before, whatever that time was. And it was very odd that whole storyline matches like almost everything with the COVID storyline.
What was the other? I think it was God. There was another disease that started the same way. That it was they infected people on purpose to try to find a reason to make a cure for it. I want to say it was polio, or no, not polio. It was in the 60s. I can't remember right now. Shame on me. But it was the same kind of situation.
Yeah, it just trust your government.
No, don't do that. Love your country, but don't trust your government.
Don't trust your government.
They're up to something, and it's not
for
good.
A single shred. No, it's always bad.
So on a more fun subject, I've been seeing a lot of videos of people posting from Trail Hero, and this is another year that I keep saying I'm going to go next year. I think since the first Trail Hero, I keep saying next year I'm going to go, and this is like the 10th year now, I think. So next year I'm going to go.
Next year going? I've done it a few times. I think they're getting there to where it needs to be. I think when the few years that I went, it wasn't quite there. And the last year was probably pretty close to where it needed to be. But I have a feeling I didn't go last year or this year. But it looked like it's getting to where it needs to be. It's kind of growing up, and people are out there. I think the first year I went out there and set up, and it kind of got rainy, but it didn't really rain. And I think I talked to like 4 people that came out to the vendor show. So,
well, now they're having concerts.
No more.
They're having all sorts of different events along with it. I think they had a golf.
Yeah,
event.
like I said, they do like the golf tourney. They do the mud drag or the sand drags. They do the concerts. There's a gala night where they're doing like a fancy dinner night.
They should not. They should not
So
call it gala night. I mean, that's
gala. We'll call it gala.
Even if you call it a gala, it's so pompous. Such a pompous word to use for people that drink beer and talk shit and spit tobacco.
Yeah, but we got to be fancy at some point in our lives.
Fucking pinky down. No pinky out. No pinky out. Hey, are you kind of depressed now that you stopped following the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're in the playoffs? Is that kind of depressing for you?
No, I don't pay attention at all.
Did you even know they were in the playoffs?
No. My daughter came and told me something. I was like, oh, really? Okay. But I did have an associate in the off-road who I thought we were better friends than we were. He, apparently, when I left Artec, he unfriended me. I'm like, okay, whatever. But he like tagged me on something and like on my Facebook page about Diamondbacks are celebrating like they just won the World Series after I guess they won they won something. I don't know if they won wild card or something. And he's like, oh, they won. I'm like, what? I haven't heard of this guy for over a year, and he defriended me on Facebook, and now he's tagging me on Facebook. I'm like, that's fucking weird. And then he sends me a text the day after going, oh, it's something about your people. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know at that point until my kid was like, yeah, they're winning and they just won. They beat the Dodgers. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Don't care.
It's hard for me to follow baseball anymore just because my team sucks so bad.
I don't have a problem with the team that sucks. I followed the D-backs for many years and they disappointed me game after game after game. Yeah, no, we had good years, but then they sucked, and it didn't bother me that they sucked. We still went to the games, still enjoyed, still was. I mean, I have a freaking D-back freaking shelf up here still that hasn't been taken down, so it has nothing to do with what they did in the games. It was fun to be at the stadium. It was fun to have the family together and do that stuff. My youngest did the play ball, like they did. I mean, everything that they can possibly. They ran the bases, everything that you can imagine, like all the family stuff that they do. My kids got to do at the baseball stadium. So it was a great place for them to grow up, us to have family time. It was always a great time for that, and we kind of had this family thing of baseball. Like they knew they were excited to go to the baseball game. They knew what we were doing. They knew the fun we were going to have. So it was always good for us to have that. So it didn't really matter if they won or lost. They went woke and I backed out. No more season tickets. I don't go to games. I don't even bother anything, and I'm done.
And that's probably why I'm still a fan of my horrible team, because I don't follow them as close as I used to before everyone did go woke and that sort of thing. And I think that's kind of by design. I just haven't been able to watch any games because I'm out of state. I'm not even in that region, so I have no chance of watching a broadcast unless they're playing like the Braves or the Cubs or something like that. I think I still follow them just because of the memories I've had going to those games with my dad. You know, my first baseball game was at an Angel game at the old Big A before they renovated it to make it like fucking Disneyland.
Before they put in a waterfall and some trees and some shit that doesn't look anything like Anaheim.
So I mean, that nostalgia I think is what's keeping me in it. I really don't see any other reason except for the two players that are good on that team, which are starting to decline. Mike Trout is always hurt and he's in the decline, and Shohei Ohtani is probably this generation's best baseball player, maybe the best baseball player ever. I mean, but he's hurt, and he's always getting hurt.
Yeah.
So, the owner is a horrible owner. Doesn't spend money where he should. He should have sold the team when he first had it up for sale, and then he brought it back to, or took the team off the market. So I think he should have just sold it. Anyone else would do a much better job. They're signing players that they shouldn't sign, and they're just wasting money. It's just hard to follow and appreciate any wins that they do get, because those wins aren't going to mean shit towards the end of the season because they're not going to make the playoffs again.
Yeah, it's going to be short. Yeah. It's definitely a tough thing being an avid sports fan. I prefer to be a casual sports watcher now, and I love. I know I've said it before. I love the high school freaking football, high school sports, not even just football, sports, baseball, football, basketball. I don't watch basketball. I hate basketball.
I used to love basketball,
but I don't like pros because of the bullshit. And I started watching college, and then college is becoming more like the pros now. Just kind of done with that. But watching high school, it's so fun. And even watching, so now I have the Max Preps app on my phone, and then the National High School Sports Network I'm now paying for, so I can watch live streams of games. So Friday night we got back from Mexico about 4:00, 4:30. Got back home, and 7:00 game time. I was like, okay, what games are we watching? And then NFTS had Chandler and Centennial. That was a good game, nice tight game. A couple good Phoenix area teams, and Chandler is 21 in the country, ranked number 21 in the country, and Centennial beat them. So that was a pretty huge upset there. And like just flipping back a couple other games and stuff like that, and I love that. But I just don't care who wins, don't care who loses. I want to see who's playing well, and watch some good sports and just be there.
I was really impressed. I went to a high school football game in Murfreesboro a couple of years ago, and the talent level and the way that they coach is much different from California, at least with the games that I used to watch in California. I'm sure like the modern day, in those schools like that are coached well, and they have a lot of talent, but those are also private schools that recruit.
They have the recruiting people, and most of it's funny is you have a lot of the top schools in the top 100 are all private schools. I mean, right now, Modern Day is number 1 in the country.
Again,
I think again, and they weren't last year, but they're there. I mean, number 2 is Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, and then St. John Bosco out in Bellflower. I think they're like 19 or 20. So there's all these teams that are like all over the place that are like really good, and watch like how they function, how the coaching team functions. I mean, before you'd have 2 coaches, and now they have like coaches like everywhere, like along the sideline, and then even other coaches back. I saw the kicker practicing, and there's 2 coaches back there with a kicker, and one could be a parent and one could be a coach, but there's so much support, and there's so much that goes behind it now than ever was before. It's really cool to see how that actually develops. And I'm sure that Chandler High School in Arizona recruits, because I've been to Chandler, and there's not that many black people in Chandler. And they have a whole team and coaching staff, and 90% is black. I'm like, they're fucking recruiting. Those fuckers are recruiting. There's no way. The demographics tell us it should be different.
I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do. There was that one school that there's a Netflix special on them. I think one of those streaming channels where I think it's called BS High School, as the show's name, and it was a high school that wasn't a high school. This coach was recruiting these kids, saying you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We'll put you, get you into a college where they have NILs, and come to find out that it wasn't even a school. It was all just a scam.
Just for.
But the school, I get.
What was he doing? What was he doing?
He just had a football program where they were like recruiting kids to play there. It was pretty much, and I don't even know how this school played other high schools if it wasn't involved in a district.
Yeah, I'm gonna
have to watch this show now. Because I only saw the previews.
Right. It's called BS High.
Now I'm kind of interested now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Now that you bring it up, I'm like, let's see.
I finished Ted Lasso, so I have time now for other shit.
You got to watch that show, Jury Duty.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that one. That's on FX, you said?
That one.
Hulu?
Paramount Plus, maybe? I don't know, one of those. I'll have to figure it out. It was on Freevee.
Okay.
It was on Amazon, Freevee.
Let me write this down.
That's what that was.
Freevee. All right, I'm going to watch that tonight.
So, after a long wait, ordered and picked it up on Saturday, I finally got my Benelli. So, and now I need to figure out all my other stuff now. But I ordered it like middle of September, and it arrived. But I was in Mexico when it arrived.
Mexico.
I'm like, can we go back? Can we go home now? Can we go home now? I don't know why. I'm not going to shoot it for a month. But
you planning on duck hunting or just trap shooting?
Trap shooting for now. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe do ducks. I know Matt's all jazzed that I got it. He's like, all right, you coming out for duck hunt?
Dude, you got to meet us in Missouri. If he lets you, you got to meet us in Missouri. We call it misery, obviously, because
of course.
Missouri. But it's a good time. I don't drink anymore or anything like that, but the guys do it up for sure. Not when they're shooting, obviously, but
at night after you're done, at night, dinner and some cocktails, hanging out.
And Matt makes an excellent breakfast burrito in the pit. He takes his little stove. He takes his stove. He takes the bacon. He takes the eggs. He takes the cheese. He takes the tortillas, salsa, everything, and he makes a really good breakfast burrito in the pit. Duck blind burritos, I think, is what he actually calls them.
All right.
But
so I just need to get out and I did, like I said, I did the skeet with Matt out there last year when I was out.
I think he said you almost shot him.
And no, I almost shot myself. Let's call it what it is.
It's all right. At least you learned your lesson.
Well, no, I did. This is where I was holding the gun. I got a double barrel, so I was loading it and pulling it back. When I was pulling back, I was getting tired, and I wasn't holding it right and pulling it back. When I pulled it back, my finger slid back and grabbed the trigger as soon as it engaged. I was like, it was shooting straight away from anyone, but it was just like going off like that. I'm like, all right, you got to hold it back here. I'm like, holding it back here from now on. Positive grip back here, not where I was at around here, because it just slipped back and just.
Yeah, what you got to do is fly into Nashville and then stay at his place or my place, and then actually, what I would suggest is staying at his place. That way, you can go to his dad's property. Doc has a huge piece of property, and you can dial in your shotgun, get the spread right. His house is huge. Doc's house is huge. And then meet me, because I'm still an hour, and I'm actually 2 hours now from Matt.
You're still south.
It's
Are you
For
2 hours?
Yeah, now I am.
Oh, yeah, because we have to cut. You have to cut an hour across to Nashville, an hour south.
So I'd
That's
meet
right.
you guys
Yeah.
at the hunting lodge, and yeah, we should do it. We got to
Yeah.
talk Matt into doing. I think he said January is when he's going to plan this trip.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah, get yourself
I gotta
get
get
yourself
practice
some
on.
good hunting gear, because trust me, if you get the cheap shit, you're going to be freezing your fucking ass off.
Wet and cold. No. I don't do wet and cold. So
I suggest Sitka gear.
Mhm.
It's a little bit more on the expensive side, but it's quality. And if you know someone that is a veteran, have them sign up for their discounts. I think it's like 45% off of a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So find someone that's a veteran and have them sign up for their veteran service, and then place your orders through them. It'll be cheaper for you.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll need waders. I'd suggest just getting a cheap pair of waders, like high and dry waders. That's what I have, and they worked out fine. They were great. Otherwise, you're going to spend over $1,000 for the really good ones, and don't really need really good ones for only hunting once or twice a year.
Yeah. I wouldn't go too crazy. So it's why I haven't bought saltwater fishing gear yet. I'm like, I can't justify it for once or twice a year.
I actually just got some broadheads for my arrows. So, yeah.
So you're shooting an arrow a little more?
Well, I've been seeing a lot more deer coming across my property. And I don't want, well, you probably can use field tips, but it's not going to really do very much to the deer, or just maim them and they'll run off. And it's just, I don't want to do that to the animal. So I bought some broadheads. I've been practicing with the wind, because every time I've been practicing, there hasn't been any wind. So on Saturday, there was quite a bit of wind, about 12 mile an hour wind. And it's a different game with some wind. It'll blow your arrow, a good 6 inches to the left or right easily. So I actually did miss my target once, and it flew to the berm and snapped my arrow in half. So yeah. It is what it is. That's why I bought 24 of them. I've already killed like 6 of them.
So I'm going to get 6 dozen
more.
more.
They're expensive. It's about $120 for a dozen.
For a dozen, yeah.
At least the good ones.
Yeah, a good one. Yeah.
You don't want to cheap out with arrows.
No. Even the one for my kid hers were like $4 each. Like for a kid freaking bow. It's like, what the hell?
Man, I gotta call Matt now and just beg him to get you onto this trip with us.
Well, I gotta be ready for it. So let's
well, the first time I went,
let's make let's make sure I still have 2 hands by January.
The first time I went, I only shot my shotgun once, and I still had fun. So
yeah,
you learn as you go.
Why'd you only shoot it once? That was the only
opportunity that I had.
It was only
okay. Matt took me to this this range by his place. It's supposed to be the #1 clay shooting facility in the country. I forget the.
Yes, that's the one I went to.
So I went there.
Cross.
Yeah, cross something.
Yeah, I get emails from them every other day.
But it's a really nice facility. It's just way the fuck out there in Clarksville. Actually, I don't even think it's in Clarksville. I think it's north of Clarksville.
Cross Creek Clays is the place.
But it
wasn't
even my shotgun that I shot there. It was his dad's. So I didn't really actually shoot my shotgun until I test patterned it at his dad's house.
I went up there and we shot there, and he was already like up. He's like, "Shoot me at the range." I'm like, "Okay," and then he had his SB3, out there, and then he's like, just get a gun. So I just rented a gun. I just rented a double barrel, and then we went out and did it, and then I went from the double barrel to his gun, and I was so much better at the semi than the double barrel. Just it's lighter. I think knowing which barrel is shooting and that was different. So I got a few. I think towards the end I was getting better, but I was still not impressed with myself.
I did pretty good for my first time there. At least that's what Matt said.
He told me that too. I think he's a liar. Matt Locke's a fucking liar.
But you have to go because then I won't be the only brown person there. Because Rob and Wes go also. And I'm outnumbered.
Well, I don't think I helped too much to that cause other than skin color.
No, the first time I went with them, the whole time I'm thinking, all right, where are we going? I've never been to Missouri, for one thing. I've never heard of the Boot Hill until Matt said it was the Boot Hill, Missouri.
Did they tell you were going shooting cans?
No.
Mexicans, Puerto Ricans.
Well, I made fun of myself and I said, I feel like Ice-T in that movie where he went hunting with a bunch of white guys for the first time and he was the one being hunted. I forget the name of that movie.
That's what I'm saying. Shooting cans.
Yeah, I hope he invites you, and I hope you can figure out a way to go if he does.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got to feel more comfortable. I think I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable with this one than I did with the double barrel. Like I said, even going to shooting his was way better.
But you went full retard with Benelli. I just went cheap with the Franchi.
Well, I was looking at the Franchi, and he's like, no. He's like, if you're gonna do it, just do it. So I had an AR that my buddy Ben built for me 9 years ago, and I never shot it. It sat in a case in my office closet it sat in the office closet for the last 5 years after I let it sit in the garage cabinet for 3 years and then went to go shoot it, and then it was all dried up and went on fire. So it had to be all taken apart and oiled, and I think he had to adjust a fire and pin too. I think that was part of the problem too. But then I never really shot it. So I was like, I want to do shotgun. So I was like, I'm gonna sell that and buy the Benelli. So it was a good trade for me.
Sounds like it.
Because I will use this. I like shooting my handgun. I like shooting my other 12 gauge. But AR just never really appealed to me.
Start working on
a little teeny.
Working on your hunting license now, because it took me. So here's the fucked up thing. I started taking my hunting license thing in Colorado, and it was an online course. And I got to a certain point, and I had to stop the test because I had to do something. And it says you can come back to it. Well, I forgot to go back to it, and the time had expired. So I wasn't able to finish. I had to start from the beginning, and I was like, I don't want to fucking start from the beginning again. So when I moved to Tennessee, I made a point to actually finish the course in the weekend, and I was able to actually do it within a day and a half. It's a pain in the ass, but it's kind of mandatory.
So do I have to do do I get a countrywide?
So if you do the one,
I have to do Arizona, then I have to take mine to Missouri.
Well, here's what will happen. I think here's what I think happens, and this is what I think happened to mine. So it goes based off of your information, social, birth date, and all of that stuff. So when you go into a different state to get a license in that state, it automatically follows you to that state, and you don't have to retake a hunting course for that new state. You just get a license for whatever you're hunting. Well, in this case, it would be waterfowl.
Okay.
And a
Yeah.
tax
Okay.
stamp. You have to get a duck stamp for the federals.
Okay.
So I think right now those are about $25.
Yeah, they're cheap. I mean, it's just crazy. Well, when we went to Washington, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a fishing license, and out of state was just ridiculous. And I paid $37 a year for fishing license in Arizona, and then the kid pays $5. Other kid had to pay full price, $37. So me and the older kid are 37, and little kid's $5 until next year. So it's cheap, but then I go to Washington and it's like $38 for a 3-day freaking permit. I'm like,
well, I'm actually going at the end of this month to Arkansas to hunt speckled belly, and the total for me for Arkansas, all my permits was $165 for a 2-day hunt.
165?
No,
that's not bad,
and that's only because I still have a qualifying duck stamp from last year. It's good to the end of this year.
Oh, there. Yeah. Okay.
So, otherwise, it'd be a little bit more, which is not a horrible thing because obviously, whatever money the hunters give goes into preservation and all the other shit for the federals.
Like the trustworthy government.
Yes, trust them with my life. Bastards.
Justice will make this easy for you.
Yeah. The easy button is not so hard. All right, I guess we should wrap it up.
Cool. All right. Sorry, I'm just a little
preoccupado.
Speaking of guns, the girls are going to do basic gun training.
Nice.
Middle of the month or end of the month. I think all 3 of the girls are going to go do that. So they've always been like not anti-gun, but not like lovers of it. Kim's dad was a cop, and she was never really like around the gun because she just wasn't allowed to, and then she didn't really live with him. And then my girls like they know I have it. They've seen it. They've opened up center console in the truck and seen it. There's whatever phone on the house. So they're used to seeing it, but they've never really handled it. And I try to get them to be involved, and they don't want to be involved. So finally this year, they're all 3 of them were like ready to go. I'm like, okay, I'll sign you guys up. So we signed up, and Kim just asked me about the email. She has to do the sign up registration stuff for that.
Yeah,
I think I go in a week or 2. So
for my wife's birthday, I got her a package deal with gun training. So she got her introduction to pistol, which she already knew because she had a concealed carry permit in Colorado. So we had to take a class for that. So she wanted a refresher, so she got that. She took her other concealed carry permit course in Tennessee. She took an AR introduction class, and she took a 4th one. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, she's ready to defend herself if she ever needs to.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad they're all gonna. So I bought the new gun on Friday, and I left it sitting on the counter like overnight, and I was expecting like someone to like freak out if we're just sitting there, and everyone just walked past it, didn't even care, didn't say anything, and then Kim said something to one of the girls like, "No one's gonna say anything about this giant gun sitting across the counter," and they're all like, "Nope," they're all comfortable with it. I'm like, "Okay, I think we're ready." Nice. So all good.
Well, tell the family hi, and be careful where you shoot this one this
cool.
time.
Well, this one's way easier. I don't have to freaking bend it back in shape.
Right on. All right, people. Thanks for listening.
Cool with it. Yeah.
Catch you next time.
See y'all later. See you soon.